Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Olympic Sevens. This one, Argentina versus Australia. There is a lot on the line for these two sides. Both have already qualified for the Olympics quarterfinals, but whoever wins this game will finish first in Pool A, and they will be challenging the 8th place qualifier. Whereas whoever loses this game, there is a chance that they might find themselves either up against the host nations France or Fiji, the defending gold medalist. But looking through at this Argentine starting lineup, it's going to be a Joaquin Palandini, Thomas Elizalde, I should say, Germain Schultz, Santiago Alvarez, Matthias Azutzuk, Luciano Gonzalez, and also Marcos Maneta. So he is back in the starting side. There were questions of whether he was even going to be competing in this Olympics, but he is ready to go and is in the starting side. For the Australians, it will be Henry Hutchison, Ben Dowling, Dietrich Roach, James Turner, Matthew Gonzalez. Looked like he had a bit of an injury on day one, but luckily has been able to recover. Nick Maloof and Nathan Lawson, the last man in the starting lineup. But for Argentina here, they want to continue their winning way. Same with the Australians. They are both sitting 2 wins from 2, which is why they have both got themselves the confirmation of making their way through to the quarters. And they love Aussies and France. The French booing. Says Katzenau coming on, says Hanoi there. And Argentina 1917 is the prediction from Pads Ablaze. But it's about to be kicked off. It is really weird seeing that number 1 jersey without Rodrigo Isgro in it. But of course, with this Olympics, they have made the numbers nice and simple, that they are just 1 to 12 in the lineups. Australia in position at the moment, although it's a hard-working one in the breakdown. I think Matthew Gonzalez may have knocked that ball on, and in fact, who's got the penalty? This time it's Australia. It's going to be a side entry from Germain Schultz in the breakdown. I mentioned whoever wins this game will face the 8th qualifier, which is either going to be Samoa, South Africa, or maybe USA or Uruguay at this point. Probably more than likely, though, out of those 3 without Uruguay being involved. And now going to the right-hand side there. Short ball to Nick Maloof. Hutchinson has to play halfback. Gets it away to Matt Gonzalez. Goes to the short side. Nice ball to Lawson. And that ruck was a mess, says Hanoi. It certainly was. Both sides pretty scrappy in that one. That one's going to be knocked backwards. But Luciano Gonzalez now has picked it up for Argentina. He's got a huge amount of pace, but Nick Maloof has been able to cut him off and slow him down enough so that the reinforcements can arrive. But then the missed tackle from Maloof leads to Germain Schultz being able to score. The crowd are not happy about it, but the Pumas certainly are. They are now 5-0 up in this contest. But Matt Gonzalez, unfortunately, the only thing that touched him there, I think, was actually the breeze at the Stade de France, and that is extremely light. And then Luciano Gonzalez, I should say, just hanging on to that ball, waiting for the perfect passing opportunity to Germain Schultz, and then poor tackle attempt from Nick Maloof at the back. Any scenario we face France, says Katzenau. If they lose this game, Argentina, and then France lose to Fiji, I think if France beat Fiji, would be how they can face each other. That would be the earliest anyway. That would be in the quarterfinals. But I believe in the semis, there's a chance that they could match up. And then, of course, later on in the comp, we could see it take place as well. Tell you right now, that would be a hostile game when it does take place. But it's kicked off short by Los Pumas. Nicely taken by Matt Gonzalez. Early days on this game, says HD23, exactly right. Australia just looking like they're trying to find a bit of their structure at the moment. Good run forward from Nathan Lawson. Every breakdown so far has been a bit scrappy, though. And why do you think the Argentines were booed? It's because of something that's happened in football. And for some reason, the Argentine rugby team is getting a lot of the blame for it, only because of the fact that they're from Argentina. So I feel like no matter what sport it is, we're going to see Argentine athletes booed because of what happened in the football. I think it was last year or the year before. It's going to be the penalty now going the way of Argentina. And Argentina beat France 80-0, says Razor. And also we have got there, the French had just made. Oh, mad, they lost the World Cup. The off-field dramas, oui, says Razor Robinson. Yeah, every breakdown at the moment, Argentina are just putting pressure on Australia, trying to make it a little bit scrappy, trying to make it ugly. And it's working because Australia haven't been able to get one clean breakdown throughout this match as of yet. Now it is going to be the scrum feed here. Ball is going to be fed in by Argentina. And for this one to come out now, going to the short side, it will be Palandini. They needed Hooper for the breakdowns. Cesar Noi, Azatsuk going off to the left-hand side now. A big shot coming in on Elizalde. Big counter-ruck from James Turner. And it's going to be a penalty against the Australians. I think Dietrich Roach has got done for not rolling away. Tell you what, I don't think he could have got further away from that breakdown, to be quite honest with you. He was trying to crawl out, which he did. He's out of there, and then the counter-ruck comes. James Turner purposely waited for Dietrich Roach to get out of that breakdown. They're looking at the replay on the big screen, and the crowd are not happy with it. Morocco beat Argentina in the football match yesterday. Argentina scored to level, but it was disallowed, and the crowd went wild. Says Lilia B. Who was the best player from day one? Big Buck Hamish. Who is your best player from day one? I would... That's a tricky one. I know that it's cliche, but I would say that Antoine Dupont, in terms of the impact that he brought for France throughout day one, was actually pretty massive when you look at how his side went. And if he wasn't there, I don't think they would have won either of their games, to be quite honest with you. But, there's been a few other step-up players. I think that, Elizalde tried to wait for the offload, or go for the offload around the back there. In that case, once again, counter-up coming from, this time, Australia. And they will get themselves the penalty. They've decided to take it quickly from inside of their 22. Dodgy penalty, says, it wasn't the best one. To be honest, it's going to be kicked behind here. And this ball might stay in the field of play. The big man, Nathan Lawson, chasing after it. Grubbers it forward, waits for the bounce of the ball. It's an awkward one. Luciano Gonzalez has pushed him off the ball there. That should be a penalty to the Australians. This has to be a yellow card as well here. Now, Adam Leo has decided to go upstairs, which makes me think this has to at least be a penalty for Australia. It's probably more of the question of, is it going to be a penalty try? Dodgy penalty, says Annoy. Why are we playing soccer? I mean, they won the World Cup for their football, so they might as well give it a go in the Sevens side of things as well. Amazing play, says HD23. They just want to check to see if the ball was grounded by Argentina, but even if it was, there was a clear push from Luciano Gonzalez. Tackles the man without the ball. That is about as obvious as it gets in terms of obstruction. And that should probably be a penalty try to the Australians and a yellow card. I really like Rokalisoa. He is crazy exciting, says Razor. Yeah, he's got a huge amount of pace. The only reason I would have put him as one of my keys from day one is because New Zealand had him come off the bench in the second match and they didn't really give him too much of a chance in that one. Right, Luciano Gonzalez has taken the Australian player off the ball. It's that's massive. They've said it's a yellow card, but it's not a penalty try. They're saying Nathan Lawson wouldn't have scored that without Gonzalez pushing him early. That's surprising. To be honest, I find that incredible that somehow isn't a penalty try with the fact that it was 1 metre from the try line. Nathan Lawson, I guess they're saying the bounce of the ball is the only thing that you can't award a penalty try for. We have also got there, that's yellow, right? It is indeed a penalty try. Says Hanoi. How does that work? Says Razor. So yeah, they're saying that the bounce of the ball, because it was almost behind Lawson at the time when he was obstructed, they counted as just a penalty to the Australians. Matthew Gonzalez freeing that ball up now, going to the short side for the Australians. Big shot coming in on Dowling. Great work from him not to just go as quickly as possible at the try line. Hutchison, he is over, and he scores the try now for the Australians. Are the refs being consistent so far? No. I don't think they have been throughout the 2 days that we've had. And, I do honestly think that they've been told to be a bit more lenient when it comes to forward passes in this contest. I know that it sounds weird to say, but we've just watched so many forward ones from day one that were not called. So I think that they've been told to be a bit lenient with the cards and also a bit lenient when it comes to the forward passes and whatnot throughout this competition. I guess they want to keep it more free-flowing. That one's going to be kicked high, and it misses away to the side for Dietrich Roach. So the end score here is going to be at 7 points to 5. Hutchie is a machine. His third Olympic Games as well for that man. Love to get himself a gold medal here to match that green and gold that they are wearing. Come on, says Leighton. Says the doctor there. It's going to be kicked off. Oh, Was Lawson taken out in the air? I think both men had their eyes on the ball. Ball is still there. And that's going to be a penalty advantage in favour of the Australians. Dowling scores it for the Aussies, and they will take the lead at halftime. Argentina are repulsive. Says Katza now there. Well done from Ben Dowling out wide, being able to score it. Like I mentioned, whoever wins this game will be facing off against the 8th ranked team in the quarterfinals. Whoever loses this game will face the top qualifier in the group, with Fiji, France, and USA all jockeying for a spot in first place. But I believe at this point, Fiji, no matter what, are guaranteed top 2, I want to say. The amount of points that they have got on the board after 2 wins from 2. And kick is unsuccessful for Dietrich Roach again, which means that the score is sitting 10 points to 7 at half-time. I've still got a little bit more time with a man advantage here as well for the Australians, so they have to make sure that they make the most of it and get one more try before Argentina are back to their full contingency of 7 men on the park. Looks like an atmosphere again at Stade de France. I've mentioned about the fact that they had 69,000 in attendance yesterday, and the way that we are continuing on, if there is a full crowd for every single day of the Sevens, it will be the largest ever numbers for a Sevens event, as well as for the Olympics. So it's going to be pretty massive for them. But 69,000 also was the highest ever attendance for a day of Sevens from day one. So massive Stade de France crowd loving the Olympics action. Here's my Olympic Sevens team. They'll win the Olympics easy, I think. They probably go all right, looking at the names that you have got in there. I think Argentina will get tired with all the counter-tucking or counter-rucking in the first half. I think that they'll get more tired with the men disadvantages that they've had throughout that first half. More than likely, but that's the thing, right? They had a rough first half up against the Kenyans. The score was sitting somewhere similar to this. And then they came out and got about 3 successfully uncontested tries, and then they won that game by about 20 points in the end. So I don't think they'll be that concerned. Yes, it hasn't been the best game that they have played so far, but at the same time, you know, I feel like there's still a lot left in the gas tank of Los Pumas as they head towards the quarterfinals. And lose against Fiji, not good. Says Hanoi, more than likely Fiji. Unless, of course, France win, then the loser of this game would get France. So we could actually see France versus Argentina in the quarterfinals, and man, that will be a hostile environment if those two sides play each other this early on in the competition. Now getting ready to kick this one off, Australia. It's the second of 6 games that are taking place in the first session. It's going to be slapped back nicely by Santiago Alvarez, the captain. Hutchinson played the man on the ground. That should be a penalty to Argentina. Marcos Maneta in his in-goal area. Argentina going to be forced in, and it's going to be a 5-metre scrum. That should be tackling a man on the ground, though. I don't know how Hutchinson has got away with that, but he is going to be very lucky. As you can see there, just jumps on the guy on the ground. It should be the penalty for Los Pumas. And now Argentina are actually getting a warning for talking back to the referee, but that one has been clearly missed by Adam Leal there. Does Ireland play New Zealand today? They certainly do. That will be at 2:30 a.m. New Zealand time, so in about an hour and 50 minutes from that one taking place. The turnaround speed and acceleration too slow for the Sevens, plus fitness wouldn't be high enough. I don't know whether his fitness wouldn't be high enough. He's been working on that quite heavily, Caleb Clark, in the off-season. If you're basing it off last year's Caleb Clark, probably. Are we over there? I have a channel now, you lucky boy. Says your Kiwi mate. I thought you already had a channel, Tony, with the mysteries one. And my sleep gone out the window. Eating lollies now. Says Pads Ablaze. Is Ireland a chance? They'll do decent in that one. They always do well up against New Zealand. They've been very close multiple times recently. Australia will go to the left-hand side now. Dietrich Roach gets over, but Marcos Maneta, he held him up for a second, but then the ball is grounded. Right, they're going to check this to see if it's double movement, but I think it was a pretty clear grounding. Yes, Hamish, but I'm serious now. I make you greater, says your Kiwi mate. You make me greater. Interesting. And Luciano said, where can I watch online free? Depending on where you are in the world will depend on your options. If you have a VPN, I'd recommend 9 Now in Australia as your probably best option. that you can use. They're going to award the try there, mouthing off. The Argentine says Annoy. Sky Sport Open, I think, is available here in New Zealand. And then I think in the UK, might be on BBC, but I could be wrong there with the options. The ref is All Australia, proper bent, says Stephen Pope. Yeah, although to be fair, Australia did not get their penalty try earlier on, which was a little bit surprising. So I think that the refs, to be honest, in this competition have been a little bit rough both ways. But that one that they missed with Hutchison playing the man on the ground was a pretty poor one. Aren't Olympics free in every country? They are not, believe it or not. They used to be, but then they put it behind a giant paywall because, of course, companies wanted to make the most of it. Broadcasters wanted to make the most of it. And I guess they had to pay the people who were at the games and whatnot in terms of the camera crew and everything. So they had to, put money in that regard. I think it's $35 in New Zealand, though, which isn't actually that bad compared to what you see for a lot of other events that are taking place. Now, Argentina tired, mate. Aussie won't stop when there is gold on the line, says HD23. But Argentina now with the opportunity to run away with their first try of this contest. It's going to be Santiago Mari, tackled 22 metres out. Roach will be penalised for not rolling away. We love the Olympics, says HD23. And Australia normally do pretty well in terms of the other events as well. We've actually seen quite a good medal tally in recent years for Australia in terms of recent Olympic events. And Vamos Australia, says Blues Nate. Amari needs to step up, says Cats are now there. Morning, Hamish, says Blues Nate. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are keeping well. Australia is going to win gold, says Tinkler. To be honest, I don't know if I so much believe it, but I can see it happening, if that makes sense. I can see them being top 3 at the moment. It's just whether or not they get a nice draw getting towards that, because like I mentioned, the loser of this game faces probably Fiji or France, which neither of those games are going to be extremely easy. The team who wins this game may be facing South Africa. So, if they can get the draw right and they can have a couple good performances, I can see Australia getting a medal at this Olympics. I think they've been strong enough, but I could also see Argentina getting on that podium once again. Roach never looked like passing. Says Annoy there. Now Luciano Gonzalez. Going to be tackled 10 metres out from the line, wrestled down by Nathan Lawson. Get off C-word is what we've just heard from Nathan Lawson. He'll be frustrated because they've just scored in the gap. He'll probably talk to the referee here and say that he was obstructive, but someone was hanging on to him in the breakdown, which then left him out of position here. He had to punch the guy on the ground to make him let go, and then that gap was there because of getting hung on. There's a few dirty things happening in this game, I will say that. But Azad Suk gets over the try line to score it. Do you think refs should be held accountable for their mistakes, bad officiating, says Lilia B? I think that, like all jobs, if you're not doing it that well, you should be told. I'm not saying, sack the referees or anything, but I feel like there should be re-evaluations of, the rule set and how referees are interpreting it, just because you want consistency across the board, and you don't really have that. Didn't even roll away, Roach says annoying. Yeah, he was just chilling in the breakdown, wasn't he? I'll be good now, says your Kiwi mate. Now we have good there. I can see Australia getting the clap, says Martin Smith. Now, Gaston Ravol kicking this one off. Currently the score sitting 14 points to 15. Well taken by Matthew Gonzalez. For the Australians, it looks like Corey Tall is going to go on the short side. Great pace shown by him, but he has isolated himself a little bit. The ball is still there. Murray wanted the turnover. He couldn't find the referee to ask whether or not he was allowed to get into that breakdown. Now going to the right-hand side, Mark Nwanga Netoasi. He hasn't been given a huge amount of time throughout this Olympics event, and tell you what, with a ball like that, they may have to give him some more. Sargent wants the offload. Mark Nwanga Netoasi again finds it off to Hutchinson. That one's going to be slapped backwards by Argentina, picked up by Toole with some great acceleration. And Argentina have dove on that ball to shut it down. Australia get themselves the penalty. Mark again will take it quickly. There's Mark Nwanga Netoasi. Puts it one more out wide to Nick Malouf. And Australia will score it. God bless you, mate. Says your Kiwi mate in there. And also RG's held Roach in the ruck. Says Annoy. They did a bit, but at the same time, in that scenario, you still have to look like you want to get out of there. And Roach was just like, I'm stuck. I'm going to sit here. So I think that was the difference in that breakdown, if that makes sense. If he had looked like, I'm trying to get out, and then looked to the ref and said, look, I'm trying to move, but they've got me, then there might have been more of a chance of him having a chance of like not being penalised. But with him just sitting there, like the ref was like, maybe he's not making the effort. But that one's going to be kicked over from Dietrich Roach, and now it's going to make the score 24 points to 14. Australia always doing good at any Olympics. Go the Kiwi, says Moss. And those danged Aussies can't win. Or they danged Aussies, sorry, rather than danged. I don't know what danged is. Surely that's not a word. But danged is, which is what you put. I just did, brother. Says HD23. It's going to be kicked in behind. Argentina, mistake there at the back from Graziano. I thought Marky Mark switched over to NRL. He has, but he's going to be, turns into a penalty there against Argentina for complaining to the referee. It was originally a knock-on call. Argentina so negative this match, says Stephen Pope. Unfortunately, I'm not going to say too much, right? But their first two games, definitely the one up against the Samoans, they did get a bit of the rub of the green, you could say. There were a few times that maybe they should have had forward passes or knock-ons against them and there weren't. But this game has almost been the opposite. They've been penalised for everything that they've done. And that has frustrated this Pumas side, and they now have to try and regroup as they head towards the quarterfinals. They are still through. They will face the winner of Fiji versus France in the quarterfinals, though. Argie's too emotional, says Zion. And we have got their Pumas sees to score twice. And no, they won't, says Blue here. Yeah, they had about 20 seconds to work with there, so it was always going to be a mountain to climb. But Australia are sitting 3 wins from 3 in this competition so far. They will be playing in the opening match, I believe. First in pool A, yes it is. So Australia will have a 7 a.m. kickoff for their quarterfinal. Argentina will have a 8 a.m. kickoff, ladies and gentlemen. And we do just have to wait to find out who is going to be facing who. We're just going to be learning a few more bits of information from the next few games, and then that will point us in the right direction of who is going to be moving on to the next stage. But nonetheless, we have got a gap here, ladies and gentlemen, of only around 25 minutes. That is because of the matchup that has taken place between Uruguay and USA. We have decided not to cover that one for the sake of being able to have some, well, I guess it's kind of breakfast per se, just with the back-to-back games, or back-to-back games that we have got. And Argie's playing Cynical and Crying. Says Annoy there. A nice one, mate. Says Blues Nate. And there as well. But yeah, the next game that we are covering on the channel, ladies and gentlemen, is just around the corner. And that is going to be Fiji versus France. That is starting at 1:30 a.m. New Zealand time, so in around 40 minutes time. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all for the next one.